Elise McClintic is a doctor of physical therapy at Greenbrier Valley Physical Therapy and a Lewisburg, West Virginia native. She is a 2005 graduate of Greenbrier East High School and earned her BS in exercise science from West Virginia Wesleyan College in 2009 while playing on the basketball team. She graduated with her doctorate from WVU in 2012. Elise is a lifelong fitness enthusiast and has been a member of Greenbrier Valley Fitness since 2012. She competes locally and regionally in CrossFit and obstacle course races, recently making the CrossFit semifinals for her age group. As the reigning USA Obstacle Course Race National Champion, she'll represent Team USA at the World Championships in Sweden this September. We are sitting here with Elise McClintic, an avid gym member, and she is going to help us out today with the questions that we gave her. We posed this interview style to her and said we're going to give you an acronym and ask you to just expand on that. And she has done a great job. She has notes ready for you. She's going to give you tons of information. So the word that we gave her was pain. We're all familiar with pain. We have lived with it, dealt with it on and off, seen family members with it. We experience it at the gym occasionally. Elise, in her profession, helps people deal with pain. So we asked her to expand on pain, and she has some descriptive words for each letter that make up that acronym, and she's going to give us her words of advice. So take it away.
All right. Well, so like Chrissy was saying, they chose PAIN as an acronym. So the P stands for preventative care, A, athletic performance, I, injury, and initially I think we were talking about injury prevention, but that kind of plays into the P. So I changed it a little bit, and we're going to talk about how to work around your injuries and how to still be able to train while being injured. And then the N is nutritional hacks. So we'll just dive right into P with preventative care. So, a big thing to help keep me healthy and able to participate in CrossFit and obstacle course racing is making sure I take care of my body first and foremost. So, every day I do a dynamic warm up before I work out just to get heart rate up, blood flow into my muscles, working my joints through full ranges of motion just in preparation for my lifts. One thing that I think we all need to do, and I do not do a good job of, is a cool down or a stretch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
some of us miss that occasionally.
Yeah. I'm terrible at it. Mostly because I'm in such a time crunch. It's like I need to get in, get out, and be on with my day. But I do notice that if I take a little extra time to stretch a little bit more, maybe foam roll afterwards, my body feels a lot better. I'm not as stiff throughout the day. I don't know if you can relate,
can attest
but
to that as
yeah. Another thing that it took me a really long time to kind of figure out on my own is checking my ego at the door when I come into the gym before I start lifting or doing a CrossFit workout, and knowing my own abilities especially those CrossFit members that have been to a class. You have the workout of the day on the board, and it gives you your prescribed weight and repetitions and whatnot. And we all want to do what is expected, right? So sometimes it's hard for me to dial it back and be okay with not, doing the prescribed weight. And I found through the years that if I don't listen to my body and I try to push it, that is when I get injured, or maybe not injured, but deal with some aches and pains that I probably could have avoided by listening to my body and not being so egotistical. Another great thing to do that I'm also guilty of not doing is getting regular body work done. So massages, seeing physical therapist, a osteopathic manipulative specialist, chiropractors. Those people really can help your body move better and feel better while you're doing it. I know. Do you?
I do
Yeah.
have regular treatments, and I can attest to that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, I could not do what I do as often as I do it without the regular treatments.
Right. Like I said, if I lived in a perfect world and I could do it, I would have massages every week and all that good stuff. But I just haven't made a priority, and I probably should more than I do. But the another thing is regular stretching, or maybe substituting a workout one day a week with something like yoga or a stretching routine. For a time when I was really trying to see how far I could go in CrossFit, I was very strict on doing 25-30 minutes of stretching every day. On my rest days, I was doing more like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that did seem to really help. And then I just kind of got away from it. I need to get back into it.
Yeah. You moved on to the obstacle course racing.
Right,
now,
moved
so.
on to the obstacle course racing. Again, still
Yeah.
something I need to do stretching wise, especially my lower extremity. But yeah, and I think again that just really helps prevent injuries. One thing that we don't necessarily think about as helping as preventative maintenance is focusing on our recovery. So taking those rest days or active recovery days, making sure we get the proper amounts of sleep at night and that we get good quality sleep, and um, doing things like ice baths or saunas, and um, you know in kind of connection with that, making sure our nutrition
Right.
is in line with our goals, so that um, we're kind of refueling our muscles and getting the proper nutrients to
Right.
help build muscle or
Right.
maintain.
We tried to emphasize that early in the challenge by
Mhm.
doing specific videos about active recovery and nutrition, and we program that in each week, so you see that there.
Right.
It's important to do that. There is a day for that, so don't
Right.
forget.
Exactly. And sometimes less is more.
Mhm.
So I've noticed as I've aged that my body does need more recovery now. I can't just like hop into things and go without warming up or cooling down, or taking that one day of complete rest and maybe another one of more of an active recovery, where I'm doing something active that I enjoy that isn't intense, like going for a hike in the woods or something, taking my dogs for a walk, something like that. Next, we'll talk about the A, athletic performance. Um, so I based this one off of my own athletic performance, um, but I think you can tailor it to whatever each person's individual goals are. Like we said in my bio, I primarily right now compete in CrossFit and obstacle course racing. I kind of have my two separate seasons. So starting in mid to late spring is when I start my obstacle course racing season, and I generally end it around September, October. And then that's when I start my strength season and start gearing up for CrossFit,
Right.
which usually ends in March or April, depending on how far I get in the open.
Yeah.
But a big thing that has helped me maintain kind of a high level of athletic performance is, again, proper nutrition, making sure I'm getting the fuel I need to be able to train hard and compete well and feel good when I'm doing those things. And then, you know, with my seasons, having different training blocks. So I just am coming off a strength block, where I was really focusing on getting my Olympic lifts stronger and my back squat and whatnot stronger, leading into the CrossFit season, where I know that's a weakness of mine. My endurance is usually good and is typically always there and doesn't take me too long to get back, but it's the strength that I really lose, especially once obstacle course racing starts in the summer, because I'm not focusing as much on strength. So I think training blocks are really important depending on what your athletic goals are. and learning. Mine was through trial and error, but through coaches and whatnot, learning like when the best time of year to do, hypertrophy training versus true strength training and that kind of thing. So if it is, if it is something that somebody's wanting to kind of move the needle just a little bit and get stronger, or try to peak for one particular part of the year or competition, I would really encourage them to reach out and for a coach or somebody. So like,
there are some great trainers.
oh
and
yeah,
tons of knowledge here
in
the
this
gym.
area, in the
In
like
the
you said, in the
just
gym,
in the gym.
yeah, I mean, you got John and Nick and Travis McClintic, my brother. He was a Division I football player and has been trained by some of the best strength and conditioning coaches and knows all those,
Right.
all the kind of tricks of the trade. So, and then you've got Dan with all the strongman stuff. So, yeah, we definitely have a lot of resources just right here in this gym. Let's see what else. Oh, again, for athletic performance, making sure that you get the proper sleep and recovery. One thing that has helped me is getting like a wearable to help track my sleep in my recovery. I used to use the Whoop band, and with that you could track habits and see how those habits may affect your sleep or recovery. So, how does alcohol affect those things? How does eating a paleo diet versus a like keto,
right.
yeah, or like a higher carb diet, how do those things affect my sleep and recovery? Or for women, like how does the menstrual cycle affect that? Because it does. I mean, our our hormone levels and stuff really affect our recovery, and what times are better times to do, to push really hard intensity wise, or maybe focus more on strength or endurance, those kinds of things. Um, and so that's why wearables are nice, is because you can track habits and how it affects you, and you can start working on those things to push the needle a little bit further. Another thing that it kind of goes with the training blocks is knowing how to taper for events or competitions. So it is very hard. For me, mentally hard, because I never feel like I'm doing enough. But tapering is important to kind of reach that peak performance too.
We have that programmed into this 12-week challenge as well.
Yep.
We'll have a deload week, so prepare yourselves for that.
Yeah, and
you do have a week where.
Yeah, and take that deload week.
Take it.
Because you're gonna like it during that week, and you'll reap the benefits afterwards. So, and then just doing sport specific training for whatever athletic goals you have. So for me, obstacle course racing, now that it's coming up, I'll start working. I'll keep doing a lot of CrossFit style workouts, but I'll start incorporating more running and more like hanging, grip strength training, those things. So for somebody that does strongman, working on pure strength through a portion of the year, and then really focusing on the implements that you have to do as a strongman competitor, and then right before competition, when you know what those events are, really working on those specific events. Or in CrossFit's kind of the same way. When you're doing a CrossFit competition, for the most part, or usually what movements you're going to have to do. So kind of start focusing on those movements before.
With the CrossFit Open coming up soon.
Right.
Yeah, there's more focus, I think, in the programming for some of the gymnastics movements.
Yeah. Yeah, and they kind of go back and look at the history of like, okay, what movements have been in the Open forever. Let's work on those. And then same when we're training for Murph. Like as soon as the Open is over, then everybody starts training for Murph. So you see a lot more air squats, push-ups, pull-ups, and running. All right, next is the eye. So injury and how to kind of work around injuries. I'm sure everybody in this room has had to work around ache or pain or injury. first and foremost, if you do get injured, and go seek health care, go seek medical help if you think it's something really serious, and get some advice from a professional. Make sure it is safe for you to continue exercising. Once you get the go ahead to start doing some stuff, then that's when you can start kind of working around it. So, I've primarily my aches and pains are in my shoulders, sometimes my knees. Um, so I usually just try to find exercises that I can do to work those same muscles, but in a pain-free way.
Modify what you do and change your
Right.
movements.
So, for instance, I know that if I do a lot of dead hangs, or a lot of like bar muscle ups, those kinds of things, my shoulder starts to bother me pretty quickly. So now I know that I can't do a high volume of those throughout the week. So I need to kind of maybe do 1 or 2 days, not 3 or 4. And then if I want to train, a lot of times I'll do dead hangs just to train my grip. So if my shoulders bother me, I switch it and do like a farmer's carry grip or a grip plate hold,
Right.
something like that, where I'm still training that grip, but doing it in a way that's not going to aggravate my shoulder. Um, Same with squatting. If I'm having a lot of knee pain, um, then I'll switch up my lower extremity exercises, try to find some that will still work those muscles but aren't painful. Um, and then I also, if it's a more severe injury, then I go back to the basics, like start with an air squat and just go through, try to get as low as I can in a pain-free range and just gradually working that, really focusing on my form, making sure my knees aren't collapsing, they're not going past my toes, things like that. And then gradually building from there until I can get back to, doing things pain-free.
That's been my personal experience too, is that the sooner you get moving, the sooner you're going to get better.
Right.
And you have to take it in baby steps.
Right. And it's also, there is no specific timelines for these things.
Right.
You've got to be patient because it usually takes longer than what you want it to.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing.
Than sometimes that they think it'll take. So.
Right. And I think right. And I think we're in a society where we want that instant gratification, and we want everything to be better, yesterday. And the body's just not like that. It's got to take its time, and it'll heal, and it will likely tell you what you need to do to heal. You just got to listen to it, which is hard. And then when you are getting back after an injury, and kind of went over this with the going back to the basics and foundations, but making sure that you're loading yourself optimally. So not doing too much too soon, which is a little bit of trial and error. Sometimes you do something and in the moment it doesn't hurt, but an hour after you're done, it does. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I did a little too much there. I need to back off. So it's little things like that. And then again, nutrition will help in the healing process.
And
hydration, exactly. So I think we're seeing a theme here with these things. Okay, and then the last one, the N, which is our nutritional hacks. Nutrition is so diverse and individualized. What works for me may not work for you, may not work for somebody else. So it's trying to find what works for you and your goals. So the first thing that I tell people when they ask me for nutrition advice is first thing you need to do is start tracking your food in a food diary or on one of the apps that you can find for free online, like MyFitnessPal, or what was the one that we used during the chronometer?
Chronometer or something.
Yeah, those are really good to use. I think I played around a little bit with Chronometer. I think I like it better than FitnessPal, but I mean, they make it so easy. You scan the barcode of what you're eating, and it plugs it in. So getting an idea of what you're already eating and maybe where you're getting too many calories, or like, oh man, I didn't realize I was eating that much fats, and wow, I'm only eating 20 grams of protein a day.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Um, so just getting familiar with what you're already eating and then make adjustments from there. Um, I think the easiest thing to do is count macros, and maybe talking to somebody, a nutritionist or um, health coach, somebody that has some um, uh, knowledge and how to adjust the macros. Most of the apps come with a preset one, which is like 30%. Was it 30% protein, 30% carbs, and then 40? Yeah, it's 30, 30, 40, and I can't remember the breakdown, but um, and then kind of adjusting from there. But
those goals can be different depending on if
right,
you want to lose weight, if you're strength training, if you know whatever.
right, and and if you're working out hard, it's definitely important to get protein. I always tell people, make sure you're getting your protein and then fill in with the rest.
Right.
But so and and it's important for muscle recovery. So that's where kind of I would start. Um, and then also hire outside help if you want extra help. If you're trying those things, you're not seeing results that you want, that's when you hire somebody, like John, or there's so many other resources on the internet too. Whenever I was um, really trying to dial in my nutrition and work towards getting stronger and building strength, um, I did Renaissance periodization, and we paid a coach to kind of give us the macros to hit, and then he would adjust it and whatnot. And I did that for, I think, 5 months or something, till I found what worked best for me. And now I still kind of follow that same template.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. And so um, mine happened to be a little higher carb than most, but still hitting my protein that I need for muscle recovery, and then not so much fat. But um, uh, not everybody's like that. I just happen to do better with a higher carb diet, and making sure that my carb sources are clean and not processed carbs, and that kind of thing, or to the best of my ability anyway. Another thing that helps me a lot is meal planning and prepping ahead of time. My weeks tend to get really busy, so I do all my meal prepping on Sunday to make sure I'm set up for the week, so I can just grab and go. I don't even have to think about it. Just grab it out of the refrigerator, and my lunches, my breakfast, everything's ready for me already, um, measured out to what I need. Um, and I've always kind of lived by failure to plan is planning to fail. So,
So true.
yeah, and it does make it kind of it's a little heavier workload on the front end of the week, but now I can usually get all my meal prep for the week done in an hour and a half, 2 hours, once I got it down. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, you got it. Another thing to help with that is to have some easy go-to recipes. So things that are healthy that you can whip up in 30 minutes or less. Um, or even like making a bunch of meals ahead and then freezing them, doing crock pot meals. I mean, those are all things that you can make healthy, and are relatively easy and quick to do. Another thing that I've taken advantage of are food delivery services. For weeks that maybe I had a busy weekend or was out of town, couldn't get my meal prep done, then I have some pre-made um, portions in my freezer that I've got, through companies like Trifecta, Factor, Home Chef. There's meal delivery.
Right.
And then let's see. Oh, another thing for people that may have trouble with like emotional eating, or um, when you go out to eat, like just picking the wrong things because it sounds good. As part of your food diary, maybe write down how you feel after you eat certain foods, or why you're eating certain foods, like if it is an emotional thing.
Like you had a bad day at the office and you feel
Right.
like you need something to make you feel better.
Right, exactly. Stress eating.
Yeah.
So, write down little notes. Like, I know if I eat a big juicy burger and some fries, I'm going to feel pretty bloated afterwards. I'm going to feel lethargic, and I'll probably have a little bit of heartburn. And so the next time I go out to eat and I'm like, oh man, that sounds really good. Do I want to feel like that again? And I kind of weigh the options. It's like, yeah, I don't care. I really want that burger. Then I'll do it. If I'm like, no, I really don't want to feel that way, then I'll choose something else.
Some days it might be worth it.
Right, exactly. Some days it's worth it. And then just with the emotional, just figuring out what kind of triggers those eating habits, what emotion it is, and seeing if you can substitute it with something else, or kind of do a totally different activity to get your mind off of something. Can be helpful. So just taking note of those things. And then, like I said, nutrition seems to be highly individualized, and it will take a little bit of trial and error.
I agree. Yeah. Tracking your macros and tracking your food and knowing what's going in your body has certainly been helpful for me throughout the challenge.
It's eye-opening.
It is.
Very. It's like, oh my gosh, am I eating that much?
Yeah. Sometimes I think that too.
Yeah. But so that's all I've got.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you opening up your wealth of knowledge, your vault that you have created over your lifetime of being an athlete. Everything that you have accomplished is truly amazing. It's wonderful. You're a great representative at the gym, and we are proud to have you here. So
well, thank you. Thank you all for.
Everyone has learned some helpful tips to avoid pain or get through the pain if they have said pain. So thank you,
I hope
Elise.
that was helpful, and thank you all for inviting me to talk.
Absolutely.
So,
Anytime.
All right.
We'll see you at the bar.
Yeah, that's right.